Casser-Jayne, and welcome to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show, a smart, witty, and timely podcast brought to you at a time when Americans are getting fed up with all the shouting and bickering in Washington, D.C. So I, Halli Casser-Jayne, and veteran White House correspondent Matthew Cooper are here to offer you an insightful, engaging journey into the world of politics, always with a smile and dialogue that snap, crackles, and pops, and with our very special guests. We strive to offer a different take on all things politics in our weekly conversations. So, pour yourselves a martini, grab a spot on your favorite sofa, and have a listen as we tackle it all, and like to stir, and yes, sometimes shake things up. On this episode of the Halli Casser-Jayne Show, merry old Trump takes a merry old trip to England on the 75th anniversary of D-Day and manages to insult everyone before Air Force One's tires even hit the ground. But it was just another day in Trumpville, which is where we begin this week on the Halli Casser-Jayne Show. And we're just beginning. Here we go. Good morning, Matthew. We're doing this in the morning. Halli had a crazy day yesterday. Oh, my God. I apologize to you. You were all ready to go, and I wasn't because I hit my head. But the kid's back.
Poor thing.
The kid is back. She's back. She's a little loopy, so Matt is going to cover me.
Well, you sound good.
Do I sound strong?
You sound good.
I'm seeing double, but other than that,
felt loopy.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. So let's just get going. Every week we say, oh my God. I don't think this wasn't an oh my God week. This was just kind of like it's getting to be summer, and I think everybody's just exhausted from all of this and really doesn't want to play with it much. But life goes on even when the weather gets lovely. Trump went to London. Okay, that's okay. You know what fascinated me about that trip?
What?
His kids going with him. What was that? Huh?
It's the clan. It's the clan.
It's like the
family
Beverly Hills.
That travels together.
I mean, I thought that was wrong. I thought that was wrong, and particularly in the way that they were exposed. I didn't like that. And you know what? A lot of people didn't like that because my Facebook and Twitter feeds were going gaga, goo-goo on that one. But he went, and he started with, before he even got there, before the plane landed, going after the mayor of London, had taken a swipe or two at Meghan Markle. How'd you think it went? Or is going, because it's still in progress, I guess.
Well, it's classic Trump, right? It's all about him. It's got tantrums. It's got nepotism. It's got all the things you look for in a Trump trip and more. Offending people left and right. It's really something. And, clearly the family thought it was an important trip because, the sons tagged along, even though they're not in the government. And Tiffany was there too. And
I got the feeling that the kids went because they, it is the royals after all, and maybe they see themselves as the
fun.
It was the American version of being the royals. There was nothing royal looking about any.
Yeah. It was like tonight on A Very Special Apprentice.
Thank you for making me.
We go to England,
I mean,
look, it's the Tower of London.
Yeah, really. I love the Queen. I have to say, what do you call it when you're like a crazy person over the royals? That's who I am. I love the royals. I read about them every single day. I find them fascinating. But there is this just wonderful 92, 93-year-old Queen, yes, who's about to have been in service for 70 years. I mean, just think about that. And she's just this tiny little thing that if you blow, she might blow over, but she's hard as nails. It just seems such a juxtaposition for everything that is wrong in the world, with everybody standing next to this woman of great dignity and everybody looking in my opinion, so undignified comparative to her, at least on our side. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's you read about other U.S. presidents and their relationship with Britain. You think about Roosevelt and Churchill, or Kennedy, and or Reagan and Thatcher, and it's just such a contrast. It's like the Beverly Hillbillies.
It is. What's the great song from the Beverly Hillbillies? Now listen to it.
Story about a man named Donald.
Yeah, really, right. And, this isn't probably up your alley, but I will mention it because it was the topic of everybody. And that is the clothing that the Melania wore and that the kids wore, the girls wore. And you saw my post.
I would say with Melania, she's...
Yeah?
She knows how to wear clothes usually, but this was a strange wardrobe malfunction.
For those who don't know, she, besides the fact that her dresses are always too tight, I'm just going to say that they always are. So she still sees herself as, the little girl who didn't have any children. That being said, there was a picture of her with one boob kind of droopy booby. And, I mention it only because it shouldn't be. That kind of thing should not be. And his white tail thing, whatever men call it, that was too tight on him. Tiffany looked like she had gone to Tara. They were just really poorly dressed. I loved the suit that she wore when she first got there, the white and blue, except that she's short-waisted. This is for the girls. This is not for you, man. This is going right over your head. I could just hear your, but seriously, I mean, it was, women like to, maybe some men too, but a lot of men commented on what I posted about her pot belly and her, droopy booby. I was surprised, but they should know better. They should be better prepared for that. And if the kids wanted to go, I think the girls should have looked a whole lot more regal, which they even did at the, inauguration than they did during that thing. So I just thought I'd say that. All of it to celebrate the 75th anniversary of D-Day. You and I both had fathers who served. That kills me. I'm on a killer. Did you see the former parachute guy, 97 years old, jumped from his parachute onto the beach this morning?
I didn't see that.
Oh, go find that footage. Oh my God. And solid as a rock. He lands. This guy's got a strong voice, strong body. He said it was better to jump without guns coming at him from every angle. It was really a lovely, lovely, lovely moment. But I was thinking my dad, who used to vote Republican mostly, is probably rolling in his grave that Trump is in the middle of all of this. So, shout out to my dad, your dad.
Yeah,
the dads
I mean, again, there was
us.
just kind of no, yeah.
We move on. We move on to our favorite subject, impeachment. Okay? I got some things to say here.
Tell me.
Nancy Pelosi? Matthew, she is creating a mess. What do you think? I think she is creating a mess.
Well, let's see where this goes. I mean, clearly she's more resistant to the idea of impeachment or an impeachment inquiry than a lot of people in the Democratic caucus. But I think that's where we're going. That's where it's heading. Do
you think that's where it's heading, or do you think it's heading to something different? I'm not sure it's heading to impeachment. There's talk of censure now. I don't know.
Yes, there's talk of censure. This also came up during the Clinton era. In the 1990s, Democrats discussed the idea of censuring Bill Clinton, as a way of forestalling impeachment. But it's different this time. This time it's the accusing party, the Democrats, who are, having some discussions about censure. And of course, the Republicans are virtually in lockstep behind Trump. So I don't think censure is going to happen this time either. I think the question is whether they pursue an impeachment inquiry or not.
Let's look on the Democratic side, because I thought it was interesting that Majority Whip James Clyburn said he was for impeachment and then backtracked major after I'm sure Miss Nancy got to him. But that was a signal, wasn't it?
I don't know how to read it. I mean, there's no question there's a lot of, pressure in the caucus to do this. And, some in the leadership are feeling it more than others. I think the more the administration stonewalls on these subpoenas and resists, that's going to fuel the fires for impeachment. And we'll see if, anything else affects the dynamic here. Does Mueller, actually go ahead and testify? Does anyone else show up? Does anything else emerge? The story's not written yet, so I'm not sure where we'll be in 3 months.
The thing is, there is a time constraint here because of the upcoming election. So the more that they delay doing what is necessary, the less chance I think that they can impeach unless some just gargantuan amount of evidence comes forth that they can't turn their backs on. And one would have thought that already came through. But I say that with the caveat that the pressure does seem to be building. 50 some odd, 54 or 55 are coming out right and saying it. But it's my understanding that behind the scenes, a lot more are for it. I'm thinking of Pelosi, and I'm thinking, is she hurting herself or helping herself? I actually, the cynical thought is, this is about her because she doesn't want to lose the speakership or lose the House. That seems to her to be more important than getting rid of a criminal president. Those things, and that's got me crazy. Harry Reid came out today and said impeach. And he's dying.
Right. Well, that has a way of clarifying things, right?
I mean, so the question becomes to me something else, and then I'll go here with you. Are Dems addicted to losing? I'm beginning to think that they are.
Yeah, I think it's just to flip the question another way. Are they just less comfortable with power? Are they less comfortable just wielding raw power? And that I think they don't have. They just don't have the
killer instinct.
The killer instinct of a McConnell or others. I mean, the Republicans had the Benghazi hearings and all kinds of things to, kind of drive Clinton down. And, and of course we know about Merrick Garland and other things. I think the Republicans have a killer instinct that Democrats don't have. I mean,
well, let me put a comma on that. Let me put a comma on that and add something. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think we need to be more specific. If you read the temperature of Dems, just the average voter, they are chomping at the bit. They want to impeach. They are ready to kill. They're ready to go. And they are screaming like lunatics, "What are you doing, Nancy?" And if you will, Chuck. And I find that interesting. So I would say the reason I said comma, Matt, is because I think the problem is the leadership. Maybe Nancy Pelosi is too old for the job. Maybe she's too in her head and she's lost that feisty heart. Ooh, that's mean.
Well, 3 weeks ago, everyone was saying, boy, she really knows how to handle Trump.
Yeah, that's different. That's different. I think that's different because I don't think that's the same thing. When it gets down to raw politics, that's a game for her. It's always a game for women, by the way, just in case you didn't know it, to play men. I mean, it comes with the territory. But I'm concerned about her. I don't know whether she is the right woman in the right job at the right time right now.
Well, the time will tell. I mean, I think, it's not insane that she's worried that impeachment might backfire on the Dems. I don't think that's a crazy position.
So let me ask you this question. What matters here? The entire argument of the Democratic Party has been for the last 2+ years that this guy is an immoral twit. So the moral thing to do in a circumstance like this, where this guy is running ramshot over the Constitution, which they are all sworn to uphold, is to take him out. And even though, as she says, impeachment is quote unquote a political act, it's the only way to get him out. But if you don't do that, knowing he is running roughshod because you're afraid of the consequence to your party, who's got the moral high ground here?
Well, that's a fair question. I mean, it's a fair question. You know. So
is immorality completely and totally gone on Capitol Hill? Ye who have been there for so long, my friend.
I'm not that old.
Older than most. Go ahead.
No, it's getting true. Well, you know, look, I still think there's a certain reasonableness to where she's at right now, and that may change. I'm not sure she'll be in the same position in 3 months. In
what way? Do you think something will break?
Yeah, I think in the sense that you don't want to look like you're gleefully rushing into this. So, you know, I think when she breaks, and I think that's a real possibility. It would signal something big. Look, I think her being mindful of what's possible, of not wanting to strengthen Trump's hand, of not wanting to see him reelected because they, you know, overshot on impeachment, are legitimate concerns. I don't think that makes her morally weak. It could make her tactically wrong.
I think it makes her morally weak too. But I would also say that when you consider the bigger picture of it, if they were not to impeach and he were to win,
well, that would be
really bad.
Yeah. But let's keep in mind, right? I mean, there's no removing him from office through the impeachment process. That can't happen. It just, you can't get 17, 18 Republicans.
No, but you can weaken him you could weaken him so badly. And
you might weaken him.
Well, let me say this: if
it strengthened Clinton's hands, so you know.
Well, it did and it didn't. In some ways, it did, but these are very different things. He was impeached for doing something stupid. This is for a guy. This impeachment would not be for being stupid. It would be for being, oh my God, a traitor. For all intent and purposes, there's a big difference there. But it was interesting to me. I had a conversation with a woman yesterday in my visit to the hospital, who, when I was talking to her about this, had no idea any of it. Didn't know any of it. Says, I voted for him. I wanted it to change. And I said, are you aware of A, B, C, D, E, F? And she goes, she knows. Really?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm leading to a conversation that I think, and that's the Democrats' bad messaging. Very bad messaging.
Well, but as you say, this is all they've talked about for 2 years. So, you know, would the messaging get better?
No. Let me explain myself, make myself more clear. When I say the Democrats' bad messaging, here's what I say. I say that they've been talking about impeachment, which is an obscure word to 95% of Americans.
Right.
Okay. And not talking about we have a criminal President Trump who for his criminality needs to be removed from office, which is an entirely different conversation than, well, let's just go impeach him. And that's why I think they failed. I think that they need to hire a PR firm. Maybe Donnie Deutsch. I love Donnie Deutsch. He's my new love affair. And get him to start.
I hope he knows.
He doesn't know yet, but I'm going to work on him next week. He's a dangerous guy because he comes across as being kind of like, you know, just like a New York kind of, you know, guy. Right. But he's smart as a whip. And he covers it with all that, you know, wearing little gold bracelets around his wrist and all the other crap. But that being said, so it was really, he said something to that, which stuck in my brain about a week ago. And I guess I'm coming back to it because I think he's absolutely right. You know, the Republicans get on a thing. Their thing that has been until it's not working anymore, socialism. So you can't read a tweet. hear a conversation on MSNBC, Fox, or any place where the word socialism isn't thrown around 1,000 times. And Democrats can't get the same word out of their mouth at the same time.
Right, right.
You know, like somebody's not sending memos out. Talking points for today between, right?
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Oh, good.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay. So I'm not wrong. Because you know what?
No, I mean clearly they've not gotten the message out, and then of course the Barr spinning the Mueller report, for all those days when it first came out, made a big difference.
Made a huge difference, but that didn't
New
have
York Times, giant headline, nothing found, report finds,
But I guess my point would be that if the Dems had good messaging, they could have taken that and they could have run with that, and repeated over and over again. Barr letter wrong. Barr letter wrong. They don't do that. So they get drowned in the Republican noise-making machinery. And I think that's a huge problem for them. They need to hire somebody to help them with the messaging.
They do hire a lot of people.
Well, the wrong ones.
Yeah.
Definitely the wrong ones.
Right.
So, okay. Well, we could beat on this dead horse forever. We won't. So we'll move on to Russia's manipulation of the election via Twitter was larger than thought. Oh, and by the way, while they were messaging and destroying Hillary and the Democrats, they were also making mucho dinero. The Russians made a fortune off of destroying Hillary. That makes me crazy, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you got nothing there?
Yeah. No, why don't you explain a little bit how it worked?
How it worked. Well, it seems like that they went in there and, they had phony accounts and they got thousands and thousands of followers. And they put ads on those thousands and thousands of followers, like a lot of people do, and they got lots of money and they got their point across. And some of the people, by the way, who were retweeting these, bot Russian people things, eggs, whatever, were some of the top Republicans. Ouch. And top Democrats. Ouch.
Yeah.
Because it's so real, you can't tell who's the bot and who's not.
That's a good rhyme, by the way. I like
who's
it.
The bot and who's not. I'm a poet and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
So anyway, point being, so now they're not doing anything about it. Because why would Trump want to stop them? They're his only hope of getting reelected. Yeah,
I mean, and let's remember in 2016, Mitch McConnell stopped the, a bipartisan support for going to the public and trying to shut this down. McConnell blocked Obama from doing that. Well, look, this problem with the big tech companies is not going away. They don't have any answers of what to do about this. The Russians are going to keep doing it. Other actors are going to get in the fray because why not? It's not that hard to do now. So there's no reason the Iranians or anyone else couldn't try to do this. And people remain, incredibly sort of vulnerable to this stuff.
Well, my reason for saying that I think even Trump retweeted some of this. Now, there are people who would say, well, he knew about it and therefore he was retweeting it for a purpose. Or you can be nicer and kinder and say he had no idea, but it was something he wanted to hear. So he retweeted it. But that's how vulnerable the system is to all of this. And, I disagree with you. I think that they can stop it if they want to stop it. And certainly curtail it to a great degree. And who is it who's bringing up the possibility of going after Google and a couple of and Facebook
Yeah, it's a small bipartisan group in Congress.
Well, they're not wrong. They're not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's antitrust. I mean, if there's antitrust everywhere else, why shouldn't it be on the internet too? It's like the wild, wild west out there. or the Wild Wild East. I mean, depending upon who's getting in there. But this can be stopped. I'm glad that you brought up McConnell. Can we just digress on him and his wife?
Oh, yes.
Oh, boy. So Elaine Chao, who is which secretary is she this season? Because she's been
she likes to be secretary of transportation.
Okay, she's on transportation. This woman is a horror. And she's gotten away with being a partisan horror for years and years and years because she's so apparently enticing. She's also a rich woman. And it turns out what? She's got stocks that she held on to even though she said she was going to get rid of them. Things that the government's voting on even at this point.
Yeah.
And she's married to this, Trump's bitch Mitch.
Majority leader, right?
No, Trump's bitch Mitch. That's who he is.
Right.
If Lindsay's not. But he's Lindsay's stand-in. But I don't understand this. Everybody in this cabinet has been found to have, including the President of the United States. I'm turning this all over to my kids, except he's on his way to one of his golf courses today in Scotland on the People's Doll. Why? This is what's got me really wacky, which is but everybody screams, Matt, and they don't do anything. They don't do anything. He told me not to raise my blood pressure.
No, I know what you mean. I mean, the level of just sort of incompetence or corruption in the cabinet, it's really something.
Yes, but what's worse is the fact that the Congress is doing nothing, including 2 subpoenas that were issued to pretty girl, what's her face, Hope Hicks, and to Annie, whatever her name, Donaldson, both who've said, no, we're not going to testify, and we're going to ignore the subpoenas, although Hope said that she turned over stuff, some documents, maybe to appease, or they weren't under the jurisdiction of the president because they were documents from a different time. I'm not sure. But I say this. So one obstruction after the other, one obstruction after the other, one obstruction after the other, one breaking the law, and nobody is doing anything. It turns out that, Nadler even had a deal with Barr on this testifying and this contempt thing. You know about that?
Well, they're trying. Yeah, right. They've been discussing different ways they could get him to show up. Right.
So all in all, what I'm saying to you is Trump train barrels along at high speed and hits cars and trucks and, this issue and that issue and breaks this and nobody does a thing. So what do you expect to happen to this country? You can do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. There are no laws.
Well,
do I have you stumped?
No, I'm not stumped. I mean, they've issued subpoenas. They're gonna, look, the Trump administration is doing things that are unheard of, which is to have a blanket. We're not going to respond to subpoenas response. Now it's going to head to court. It's going to have to get worked out in the courts. But that's not the same thing as doing nothing.
It is the same thing as doing nothing. Because you could do something real, which is power. They do have their own powers outside the courts. And they could be fining these people $100,000 a day, which would change the course of them saying no because money talks. There are things that Congress can do. They can have them arrested. They can make fools out of them. This goes back to what we were saying before about the way the Dems play it versus how the Republicans play it.
There's no question the Republicans would play it much harder.
Okay, so if they only did it once and made one example, trust me, because Hope Hicks, okay, how much money does the GOP have to pay off all the debts of these people? I'm telling you, this is wrong, and there's a different way to do it. And I'm just appalled that they need me up on Capitol Hill.
Well, yes, clearly.
They really do.
They do need you.
They do, because somebody's missing the boat here. Somebody's not getting it.
I would not want to be on your bad side.
No, you wouldn't? No.
No.
But I don't think I'm wrong here, and it's not a good side or a bad side. It's an unfortunate side. I just think that in this latest round, that should have been it. Or they should have impeached, or they should impeach Barr. You are listening to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show. The Halli Casser-Jayne Show posts new podcasts Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern at hallicasserjayne.com and is available wherever you listen to your podcasts. Be sure to find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, iHeart Podcasts, on all your favorite apps. And visit us at our new home at Radio Public. You can find the Halli Casser-Jayne Show on your Alexa device too. Just say the Halli Casser-Jayne Show. Oh, and come play with me on Twitter at the Halli CJ Show. By the way, they should impeach Barr, and I think that would go a long way to cleaning up a lot of this. And I think they've got good cause. And I'm not so sure everybody would stand up for him in the end.
Yeah, impeaching Barr.
Yeah. Even the threat of impeaching Barr, because he clearly showed his hand last week when he tried to cut a deal and not be held in contempt. So he really doesn't want that contempt thing on his resume.
Yeah, well, look, I think they're going to head towards contempt. So,
well, I don't think they should head towards anything. We've had enough of the heading towards, and they need to do it just once. Just do it, and just
Nadler is definitely, Pelosi's guy. And so,
Well, I think he's also maybe the wrong guy in the office at this time, because I think he's a fine attorney and all of that jazz, but the guy is just waffling.
Yeah. You want the full Maxine.
I think at this point, first of all, it might, if she did, let's look at it. If she just exercised one power move, it might let some of the gas out of the pro-impeachment people if that's what she doesn't want. Just give them a cookie. Give them an Oreo. Right. Let them chomp on the Oreo, and maybe they'll feel a little better and they won't be on her back so much. That's all.
I think they do need you up there. She really needs you.
Well,
even after you've been to the hospital, you're thinking very clearly.
Well, I'm, it's really making me crazy, because I've never seen anything, my own life, forget it, I could never think like this. But, when I'm looking out from the outside in, it just seems so obvious to me of some of the things that they could do that they're not doing that just drives me crazy. All right, let's change the subject. Let's go to Mr. Biden, who screwed up big time. You only have to give Trump a little bit of rope and he's going to hang you. So they put out what is this climate change document as he holds his substantial lead. He's only down a few, but looks like he's still got the mojo, if you will, until he puts out a document in which he plagiarized, which is a past problem of his apparently, and got caught.
Yeah, not good. Not something Biden would have to show extreme vigilance about. And clearly the staff didn't get the message.
Yeah, right. So I think this is one he's kind of walked into, that he's going to get. If Trump didn't have to be where he is today, I think it would get a lot more mileage. We'll have to see what happens with it. Maybe he got lucky on the timing of this thing coming through. But the document itself is even more intense than anything that they did as president and vice president. So
sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's where the party is, where the country is in a lot of ways, and so. Except
it's not where Trump is.
No, it's. I mean, Trump takes you back to the, And it was Cro-Magnon. I don't know, but Trump.
I wouldn't even give him that. Really.
I mean, Trump's doubling down on coal and anti-climate change, and I think that Biden. This was bad for Biden. It wasn't as bad as the plagiarism mistake of 1988, but it's bad. I think the
they
Biden
need
thing.
you there. They need you there. Can you go and edit for them?
Well, they need a piece of plagiarism software, of which there's a lot, to just, run everything through and make sure they're not cutting and pasting somebody else's stuff even into their,
which is what they did,
right?
But it came out of the document, whose document on climate change. Okay, that's it just wasn't cited, but you guys, Matt, you need Matt, best editor in town.
Yeah, well, just try not to do the cut and paste.
So sad. Okay. The other reason that Biden might get saved is so it leaks out that the Republicans and Trump have a plan on going after Biden as a free trading globalist.
Right.
Which is a plan that they probably had in place they probably wanted to start leaking it out now, so just in time for Trump to get back. So him go to town on it, along with the Mexican trade crap and everything else that's going on. And so that maybe that's going to take over. We'll have to see. But I find it interesting how hard Trump is planning so early to come down on Biden. And clearly the polls are not good for Trump and the Rust Belt, but the inside polls must be devastating for him to take this on like this. It's so early in the summer.
Yeah, and there's legitimate worry that this is the kind of guy who's shown he can win the kind of voters that Trump got that helped turn the tide in those battleground states. So it makes sense that they're going to take him very seriously in a way that they're not going to worry about, Eric Swalwell or John Hickenlooper or, candidates 1 through 29.
Oh, man.
Because I think they know how to run they know what they're going to do with Kamala Harris. Biden, they have to think it out more.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. Kamala Harris. Let's move on. I want to move on to this business about the Saudi nuclear deal, arms sales by Trump also to the Saudis. The nuclear deal made days after the death of Khashoggi, the Washington Post reporter, who they cut to shreds. And then just before we went on air, Drudge report, Iran 6 months from nuclear weapons, according to a former IAEA official. Let me put a comma and add the name Jared Kushner. Honestly, Matthew, what is this?
Well, Trump in the Middle East is, an act of endless obsequiousness to the Gulf states. I mean, whether it's Iran, whether it's Yemen, whether it's nuclear aid to Saudi Arabia, whether it's coddling the murderous Saudi regime, whatever, they're enthralled to the Gulf states, and why not? It's a rich family clan based system of inherited wealth. Why wouldn't they like it?
Also the kickbacks to Trump must be enormous.
Right. Plus they need the money. So, all these loans come in at the last minute to save Jared's, white elephant, building in Manhattan, 666, Fifth Avenue. So, it's got everything they like in a regime. It doesn't have the flamboyance of a Duterte or, killing opponents is, well, I guess they do kill opponents. Maybe not out of helicopters. Look, it's very ugly, and clearly they're aiding the Saudis in ways that are, even Republicans have questioned some of the, legality of these arms sales. And now this nuclear business. So, these are Trump's buddies.
The Jared Kushner thing,
where to begin?
Did you see the interview?
I did see the interview.
I mean, yikes. First of all, can I just tell you one thing? This is another female thing. I'm sorry. But there's something wrong with his face. He doesn't have any lines on his face. He has no character in his face. His eyes are as dead as a doornail.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Is he reptilian?
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't really even have the charisma of King Joffrey,
I mean, really scary.
there is something really very soft and
mushy. He's mushy.
Affectless about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like what's the word when you're neuter, you're not a male, you're not a female. Oh, God.
Right, a little eunicky.
Eunicky. He's very eunicky.
Yeah, he's a little eunicky. I don't.
Should that be the headline for today's show, Jared Kushner?
I don't really
Is eunicky?
Eunicky. I must say, I still don't get the Jared Ivanka chemistry.
No.
I know
I do. I figured it out last night.
Well, I know what he would have seen in her. I'm not totally sure what she saw.
I got it. I totally got it. Because I think...
just corrupt real estate empires?
No, nothing like that whatsoever. Look, this girl's got a daddy issue. She How could she not? Okay?
Right.
And I think Jared found that key in don't worry, I will protect you. I will save you. I will the dress that she wore, by the way, the other night, was like something that you would have seen on Father Knows Best, that the mother would wear with the shirtwaist dress, or Donna Reed. It was a 1950s shirtwaist dress. I was astonished, but it's not the first time I've seen her in an outfit like that. A lot of times what she wears is very 1950s, and she's got that religious Jewish thing going on, which is all about the 1950s. I hate to say it. That whole right wing, thing with the women, sitting in the top of the temple.
And modern Orthodox.
Right. And I think this is a girl that, if it wasn't for daddy pushing her and her wanting to get his love and that, she wants to be protected. And I think that Jared, in his way, seems to have, wrapped wings around her to give her inner strength. That's how I see their relationship.
Well, that sounds like an insightful take.
But she's very throwback, Ivanka. She is not a modern woman. Incredibly throwback.
And yet, so big in the business, and big in the White House.
Because you can be two things at once as a woman, by the way.
Right. No, I know.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it has to do with that side of hers wanting to please daddy.
So that's all reluctant.
I think her real core would have been she would have liked to have been a mom and a housewife, and that would have been fine for me. Thank you very much. That's what I think. Because I think if that weren't true, she could have gone to corporate America and worked her way up and become a great, CEO. She didn't have to stay in daddy's company.
Right. So well,
they
all have to stay in daddy's company.
Well, I don't know that they have to. I don't know that they have to do anything, but I think that that's what she chose. I don't think she's a strong woman. I think she's basically a pussycat. That's what I think. But that's what my take is on their relationship. I think basically she's just daddy's little girl and husband's little wife. That's what I think.
I think you're making sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, Jared, yes,
talk to
that
me about
interview.
Jared. Huh?
Well, that interview.
Talk.
I mean, well, look, he just seemed to, he seemed like deer in the headlights, right? I mean, he said he didn't know if he would go to the FBI if he got approached again by the Russians. I mean, he just seemed to, completely out of it. I mean, it was a really, grim performance, and I mean, the bar is low, but he was really bad. And of course, his Mideast peace plan is a mess, whatever it is. I mean, if we really even think it's a plan.
The first part of the plan, which is to give money to the Palestinians and try and help them shore up their style of living, if you will. That seems plausible to me. I don't know what the second half is, but that certainly seems plausible to me. But if you're going to read the tea leaves on that Middle East plan, should we go off to that for a second? It seems to me that the plan is already in place, and it takes in everybody but the Palestinians. And I think everybody's saying either it's going to be a one-state deal or they're going to start moving those Palestinians over to Jordan, who, by the way, the king of Jordan, who used to be so vociferous, not a word.
Right. But I mean, to try to debut this plan at a conference that the Palestinians aren't going to, and there isn't even an Israeli government because the election's
that's a mess. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's not been a great rollout.
Well, I don't think they planned on Bibi losing, not being able to form a coalition. And
no,
waiting
clearly
until
not,
September 17th. I'm sure there's that, and that I think that was a sabotage. I think somebody got to, what's his face, the Russian guy, but that's another story. That being said, I agree with you, but I think if that hadn't happened, they're railroading this through. The deal is already made. That's my point. And they're doing this to make the grandstand that, look, all the Arab countries are involved, agree with this. And I actually do think that they don't want the Palestinians necessarily to gain so much control, that they want, Trump has paid them off with the guns and the nuclear deal to shut up and let Israel have the West Bank. That's what I think. I think it was a payoff.
Right. Well, I think, we've talked about it on this show before. There is the biggest cleavage in the Mideast is between the Gulf states and Iran. It's not between Israel and the Palestinians. And that's
why they want this out of the way.
Right. But the idea, for him to say for you to start a peace process, even if it's just like a fake peace process, by saying, I don't know if the Palestinians are capable of self-governance is kind of amazing.
Except to say, listen to what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
No, you don't know what he felt free enough to say it. I know you're going to say that I was going to say they aren't, and that's true, they are not, as Gaza proved. But that's just me and my right-wing crazy on the Middle East and on all things Israel. Okay, fine. But if you take that part of me out of the equation, he would never have made that statement if he didn't know he was free to make that statement. And apparently that is where everybody in the Gulf states are at this point. And by the way, they got Hamas, who's a pain in their butts, and Hezbollah. And that's part of the reason they want to cut this deal and get this whole Israel thing out of the way real fast. So they can clean it up.
That's all part of the
Iran thing. So like I said, I think it's interesting, but he wouldn't have said that unless he knew he was safe to say it, because that's stupid. He's not. These are his bread and butter, the Saudis. Now, here's this. I wouldn't want to be dealing with the Saudis on any level, personally, Halli, because I think they'd screw you as soon as they'd screw their own mother. Right?
Yeah.
That's a weird group of wackos. Ask Khashoggi ghosts about that.
Right.
What do you think about my thought on that he wouldn't have said it if he didn't feel free to say it?
Well, I don't think I don't have enough confidence in Jared's ability to measure his words to believe that.
Well, there you go, folks.
I just think even if this is his end goal is to not really even have any real land for peace discussions, but just to basically give the green light to de facto annexation, it still was poorly thought out, rolled out, done up. And by the way, the Saudis are getting their asses kicked. Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, the West Bank. I mean, not the West Bank, Gaza.
Well, the only country we didn't mention was Russia.
Yeah, and
Russia's involved in some of this crap too.
Yeah. Anyway, nothing. I don't think anything Jared has done should inspire confidence, even those who share his goals.
And yet, he amasses more power in that White House, and now he's getting rid of some other people I was reading yesterday. And he wants to take over the money part of the campaign.
Well, let's see where things are at. It's very odd.
Maybe he doesn't do well on camera, and there's something because everybody's gone, and he is standing.
Well, he's married to Daddy's girl.
Well, I don't think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, you fire the son-in-law if it isn't going well, and screw you. He's got something that Trump
apparently enough to keep going.
Right. I find it fascinating. We'll have to do more on him in the future because he's a piece of work.
It's hard to see who the countervailing, force is at the moment, right? You don't really have a strong chief of staff. You don't have a ideological counterweight like Bannon.
No, I actually think that what you do have is it's just Trump and family, and everybody else is just kind of there.
Right.
Well, so he got what he wanted. He's running the whole.
Yeah, there was a clan. I mean, it's like people call Trump tribal, but he's not tribal. It's like pre-tribal. It's clan. It's like before.
Barney Rubble. It's Barney Rubble
into tribes.
It's the Flintstones.
It's pure Flintstones.
It's bizarre.
We're not even up to the Visigoths or anything. We're just dealing with like Fred and Barney.
God, how pathetic. I mean, seriously. Oh my God.
I mean,
okay, we gotta wrap up in a minute. So I want to bring up two things also. One I should have brought up earlier, and the other one is it's a great. I'll leave you at. But this Trump and the Mexican tariffs is just like, ay caramba.
Yes, if you don't stop people coming from Central America, we will tax avocados.
I mean, look, if this isn't the highest, this guy doesn't understand it on his own, but whether he plans to go through with this, I don't know. I do know that there were an awful lot of stupid, I call them MAGAs out there who don't get what this is costing. Have you gone to the market lately and seen the price of food already? Seen the price of things, and it's astonishing. It's astonishing. I don't know how much meat we get from China or something, but I'm not a big meat eater, but I was looking at those prices the other day. $16, $17, $18 an ounce for a steak.
Pound, but yeah.
Pound. What did I say? Ounce. Pound. It's, I don't get it, but these people's pockets are being hit. Oh, because of what it costs to feed the animals is what it is. And they don't have all their soybeans and their corn and shit is sitting in the middle of nowhere in some barn. The price of feed must be to the moon. I haven't looked.
Well, yeah, we have flooding now.
In the flood. Well, yeah, but the price of, listen, I live in Florida. We grow our own cattle here, but we also have a drought here, so.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a little crazy. But anyway, I had to bring that up.
Look, the tariffs is a very blunderbuss weapon
it's his favorite choice
negotiations.
It's his choice of negotiation.
Yeah,
but I bring it up.
He doesn't seem to fully understand that it's a tax on Americans.
Yes, but he's got a headwind on this because Republicans know this will kill them. And they won't get reelected because of this. And so they're starting to really carry on about this. Do you think this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back?
It's the straw. Well, it depends who the camel is, right? I mean, could they stop the tariffs? Maybe. Is it going to cause an irreparable rift between Trump and the party? No.
Can anything?
No, nothing. No. I don't think anything.
That's terrifying, isn't it?
I think the only thing is massive defeat, right? But cataclysmic defeat. I don't think anything else can break the bond at the moment.
Well, that makes me ill. That makes me totally ill. Okay,
I still kind of think he's going to go through with it. I mean, because he got
mad yesterday about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the markets it can depend. Maybe the markets would scare them out of it. But that's not happening. They went way up because the Fed said they'd compensate. So I don't know. I mean, my guess is one round probably will go through. But I'm just guessing.
It's so stupid. It's just so stupid. But listen, it's going to hit people's pocketbooks sooner, if not later, and that can make a difference. And it's certainly going to affect the economy, which is already already showing major signs of there's going to be a rupture in that. So. There is that too.
The party's over.
The party. Well, it had to end sometime.
Last call. Send everyone home. We're taking the punch bowl.
It's so sad. I want to leave on this note.
Yes.
Trump went after my love Bette Midler last night.
I've been waiting to hear you on this. Don't you remember when JFK was in Europe and attacked Julie Andrews?
I don't. I'm not as old as you are.
No, I'm being facetious.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, seriously. We washed up Psycho. I mean, can we please?
It's 1:40 in the morning in London, and that's what he tweeted.
What's with the guy? Bette Midler. He really took it on the chin for that one, though. I mean, the world rallied. But, you know.
It was a level of crazy they had not seen, yeah.
I mean, does the guy ever sleep?
Not the way you and I do.
I mean, you know, I don't know. I want to come up with some clever goodbye, but I'll throw you another one. Terry McAuliffe is running against Ralph Northam, maybe? Back to the... maybe that's too into the weeds for most.
Yeah, right. Back to the Future. Well, you know, Northam can only run for one term, so it's really whether
he wants to hit him.
Came back again.
Yeah, well, he wants to hit him because he gave it to him, and then the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a futz.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Oh, it's a back to bet. So is there walk us out?
Well, look, I think. There's more foreign travel on Trump's agenda. I think more craziness because he's crazy, but also because you know the Mueller because Congress is going to keep hitting him on.
Yeah,
on
I don't think he's going to. Yeah, he's going to have to collapse sooner rather than later. He may be collapsing down. We're just not aware of how much he's collapsing. He did look like a penguin in the UK the other night. In his ill-fitting white tails.
Yeah, I mean, these trips are hard on any president,
yeah, and
hard
on anybody.
Physically, they're difficult trips, and if you're not in, reasonably good shape, they can take a toll on you. I say this from experience, and I think these trips rattle him. I think they're really, he can handle going, a 20-minute flight to West Virginia where he can act out in front of a crowd. But like a transatlantic flight and the scheduling and the schlepping, I think it really takes a toll on him.
Well, it required that he appear dignified, and I think that's very hard for him to do. I watched his face. They go back and watch the footage, guys, because it's hilarious. Because his face contorts. He doesn't know whether to have a grim look, a amused look. His face like contorts into all when he's standing next to the Queen, and it was just too funny to watch. He just didn't know what to do with himself. How do you get raised, by the way, a kid in a military academy with this, super duper,
right,
and wind up so gauche? On that, I leave you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show. The Halli Casser-Jayne Show is a production of Resec, LLC. Be sure to tune in to the Halli Casser-Jayne Show at hallicasserjayne.com or listen on your favorite app. New podcasts are posted Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern.